Hello, everyone. Just gonna wait for Dani to get on here. Dani. Hi. Hello. Good morning. Hey, Jewel. Good morning, love. How are you this morning? Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. We're gonna have some fun today. Speaking with some people. Oh, thank you, Jewel. Love. Hi. Hello, love. How are you? Ghislaine. Hello. Ooh, lots of birth workers on. Hey, y'all. You guys are probably like me, in between birth. Okay, I need to preface this whole conversation that I'm going to have today with Dani because I have a mom in labor again. So this is like, I had to shut down earlier sometime this week because I had a mom who was revving up and going. And today, I have a mom who's in labor. So I'm going to, if I need to, just kind of make a quick exit with grace. Depends on what's happening. Hi. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Beautiful day here, right? Beautiful day if you're in Los Angeles. I can concur. Hi. Okay, I don't know where she is. Oh, there she is. Just as I speak that. Here she is. She's going to come on. So happy I happen to be on this moment. Oh, hey, Cheryl. Thank you, honey. I'm happy you're on too. Classic. Always someone in labor. Oh, you know this. As much as we love it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to see you again. Thanks for joining the other day too. Yeah, we're blessed with weather. That's true. We deal with other things, but we're blessed with weather. Okay, let me see if I can get her to come in. There she is.
Hello.
Hey. Hello. The boys are sending love. They can hear your voice. Please tell my three jewels that I said hello and I love them very much. So sweet. How are you doing this morning, sweetheart?
I'm great. I've been excited to come on and talk with you. I've written like notes and being like, what do I want to say? And all the things. So I'm just excited to be here.
You wrote notes.
I wrote, oh, wait,
That's so you.
I have to write notes.
You took notes all through class, even though you knew you were going to have the recordings. And every time we did a prenatal together, you took notes.
I know, I have to, because I think writing helps me really like get in touch with a safer place with myself. So like, but if I can just write out my thoughts and have like a clear like clarity, and also it helps me embody it a little bit more, then I'm like, oh, okay, feel a little
Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm writing, because I love writing and I do a little bit here and there. I love writing everything out in manuscript because I feel like I took it on in a cellular way. I can integrate it better. But
Yeah.
So, my love, let me just tell you, I have a mom in labor.
Okay.
Of course.
It always happens at the perfect time, right?
Always. But it's fine. So if anything does shift, she's in. It should be okay. I thought I was gonna have to go, but
okay.
So she's gonna keep in touch with me.
Well, I'm in support of that.
Thank you. So would you do me a favor and please tell these lovely people who are on this call who you are, what you're up to,
okay,
how you trained,
okay,
all the things you trained in, because you've got a little bit, you're kind of a greedy certification person, degree person. You've got a lot of stuff behind you. Your bench is deep.
So my name is Dani.
Hi, Dani.
I would introduce myself as an artist and a birth worker and someone who's really transformed and found my own agency doing a lot of embodiment and trauma work with myself. So through that lens is a lot of how I approach birth work and my artistry. So in being a birth worker, well, I first also want to tell the story of how I found you, because I think that was such an opening moment of me being like, oh, I'm on an aligned path here, where I was doing a lot of like womb work with myself, surrounding like sexual trauma, right? And I started hearing these like whispers of birth work, and I reached out to a friend who was a doula at the time. I was like, hey, this is coming in pretty strong for me, and I really want to like know how to get started on this process, and because I know birth is a transformation, and I feel like anyone who's had sexual trauma and is going through the labor and birth process deserves to feel safe in the agency I was feeling with myself doing that process.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to my friend, and they're like, you know what, they're like giving me some resource. They're like, go on loomhq.com, and there was like a doula directory at the time. They're like, look, you start like looking to see who resonates with you. And so I'm going through, and I like see a bio that really sticks out to me, and I just like screenshot the bio, and I don't think much of it. And then the next day, someone else on an Instagram page, I see if someone really wants to like be getting into birth work with Haize Hawke. They're like, work with Haize. Haize is like, and you are just starting your Get Rooted doula program. And they're like, join this program. And I was like, okay. So I went to your page and I looked, and I didn't realize it, but it was your bio I had screenshotted earlier that day. And then you came up again for me in the world as like you had just unleashed this epic program, Get Rooted. And I was like, okay, I heard I need to do this work, and I need Haize to be there to be guiding me through it. And so I love that story because it just like grounds me to like being like, I'm on this path. Yeah, so all that to say, me being in birth work and why I trained, there's so many reasons. First being like led to it basically. And then also seeing a lot, like birth work to me is justice work as well. And I mean, I don't need to say to you the oppression and racism that comes into birth work. And I just think that birth as being the place where we all were birthed, whether a belly birth or vaginal birth, being the first experience we all have. Like, how transformational can it be if everyone has a safe birth story and their birther or mother feels safe giving birth? What transformation and collective healing could that bring society? And so that's really was a big motivator for me in birth work, is seeing how that collective change starts there. It starts with feeling safe, and starts with birth and everything. You were talking, I forgot who it was with the other day, but you were saying how everything is birth, and I was like, yes, I feel that. And I feel everything is birth and related to the birth process. And yeah, so I've been like talking for a minute there, but
well, that's what this is for,
yeah.
for people to know who you are and what you're up to. I will say, when you came in, I knew immediately that you were about this life. Like, you were serious, you shared, you spoke, and you actually created an opening for other people to start speaking and asking questions. But I remember distinctly when we got to the business portion, you know, with the contracts, and then with how I do my interviews and things like that. When we got to like the actual marketing branding part, you were like, it just, but, and then when you shared what you had found in it, and I started talking to you, I watched you go, ooh, you know, you had an idea already what you were going to do and how you were going to do it in this work. And then as we got more detailed about your branding, about your elevator pitch, about all the things, you just kind of locked and loaded. I think you were the first one to reach out to me to say I want to shadow you. You were the first one, like you were so serious.
I was ready, and I am ready to go, you know, and
Yeah.
like, and it's taken me, I think, even a little more time to really like trust myself in that process and be like, but now it feels concrete. Now it really feels like, oh yes, I am so ready for this. I'm over ready for this. I've prepared in ways of like, because you're right. I trained with you. I've done birther classes with your badass natural birth.
I love flow.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
We must take a moment.
Yeah.
If y'all don't follow, oh, my southern came out. Do you hear that? If y'all don't follow Badass Birther, Flo is, I don't know. I stand Flo. I stand her. She's ridiculously on point and community based and oriented, and just follow her page. It's so inspirational
and so enlightening to the birth process in the industrialized medical birth world as well. It teaches you how to advocate for yourself, and also as a doula coming in, how to be a better advocate for the birth.
Exactly. She also normalizes it in all its variations. She's like, this is normal birth. This is the variation of normal. This is very, and when you do that, you actually get people to land in the idea of it not being pathology.
Right.
It's not, there's nothing wrong. All that you're feeling, all that's happening is supposed to happen. So you can,
I know. But what they'll do is they'll be like, oh, you're scared. Let me give you this, instead of like actually letting someone work through their fear. It pathologizes fear. Right.
And which is why you're going to be amazing. Working through trauma and all type of release of all of it. You're going to be so crucial into it, because like I said before, midweek, it will show up in labor if it's not dealt with. And when you have an opportunity through such a transformative physical, emotional, spiritual, mental event, there's a lot that you can actually step through, lay down, let go of, release, change for the future generations in that one go. And so if you're going into it with the presence of mind that, you know, I can heal this, I can release this, I don't have to take this with me. My children don't have to deal with this. If I can get to a place, if we can get to a place, you're right, it will change communities. And in so doing, change cities. And in so doing, change the states.
The world.
And in so doing, change America. And in so doing, get a grip on Washington, D.C. because it's tripping. Right?
Oh, and when you're talking, I got emotional, because it is true. It is so, like, I think when during your program, I asked my mom, I was like, can you tell me the story of my birth, of like what you're going through at the time? And
that's right. It was homework, wasn't it? Home play.
Yeah, home play. And then I was also reading Erica Cheaty's Nurture book. And they go through that and talk about.
And killing the black body.
Yeah, all of that. And so I talked to my mother, and I love my mom. She's honest. And it was a loving honesty where she was like, it was a really hard time for me. And like a lot was going on in her world with family stuff. And a lot she was living in a place that was like, didn't feel like all the community, but she was building community and feeling safer in her body. And then she gets pregnant, and I wasn't planned. And then she was like, oh, I was just starting to like, so all these things were going on. And then as well as like, I think it was either my birth or my sister's birth where she actually like kicked out the obstetrician because they're like not respecting her. And
this is where you get it from. That's where you get it from.
Oh, she advocates for herself.
She kicked the OB out of the.
She kicked out. I think she kicked out my dad and the OB because.
Oh, pops.
I know. Well, I think what was happening is they were like being like misogyny little like guys that were joking around with each other, and my mom had fast labors. Like I think I came out 2 hours. Like, and so she
Whoa.
feels an intense pain for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precipitous births are the most intense things
Yeah.
to go
And
through
she
and
was
to witness.
unmedicated and all about that too, you know?
Yeah.
And so she was like in it, and I think she was having back labor, and she was asking my dad to like really like rub her back, and my dad and the doctor are like rolling their eyes at each other, and she was like, no, get out. Like, I think that's what like happened. She was like, I'm like not gonna be here for that.
Did they stay together?
Yeah, my parents were
That's good. I was like,
they're
that
good
could
for
be.
each other and calling each other out on stuff. That's what I was saying.
Oh, see, that's nice. Everybody's calling each other out. Nobody's above anybody else. Everybody just growing.
Yeah.
I love that.
But even in a real sense, like hearing her journey of like postpartum, especially like
Mm-hmm.
her brother had come to live with us. We were all like living in an apartment at a time, and just hearing how a doula really could have supported and been an advocate and really someone to make my mother feel less alone in that, you know,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
I love
And how
that
that would have even changed me coming into the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love though that she had autonomy over her birth,
Mm-hmm.
that she told the OB to get out and take your father with you. I mean, that's saying something, because at that time period, it just is not shared that you have the right to do that you can fire somebody in the space, you know. So I love that she did that.
The OB came back in eventually. Like he wasn't
He was like, okay,
but,
I understand. Please let me
yeah,
help
she
you.
was she but and there's a beauty to that. Like she advocated for herself, but also if someone else had been there, would that have even like needed to get that far?
Right. Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Hi, Sarah. Rocio. Hello. Good morning, guys.
My mom's actually on this right now.
Get out. Your mom's there? Where is she?
She's Jack's dip.
Oh, she gave a thumbs up to her baby. Hello, Mom. You did good. Danny's amazing. So, Danny, tell us why it was important for you to, like, I know the story, and I know that, you know, you felt that you could be helping. I love you too, sis. That you could be helping and supporting birthing families. But what was the actual thing? I had to ask earlier this week. I've been asking people some of the same questions, and sometimes that's just so general that I want to know the actual thing that made you say, "Here's the money. I'm gonna do this." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get supporting families and knowing your background, but was there something for you personally that?
I would say it's hard because I swear to you, there are so many things that are like interlocking, but I think realizing how important birth work would be for my healing. I think, and it will make me emotional, I think I needed to delve in to birth work to also continue my evolution.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was for me, is really realizing how much witnessing and supporting this process is also my transformation.
Mm-hmm. We have to do our work first. I say that at every interview, but it's true. Doulas are responsible for their emotional wellness in the space. And so that means taking care of themselves, but also doing their own work before they can ask anybody else to do this work, right? And I do remember in the training, there were times where you were just kind of like, okay, you know, you could see you processing. But what was great was you would ask for support. But everyone in that cohort was so supportive and so connected. You guys are going to be together in your work for so long, I can tell.
And in doing trauma informed work and like and teaching myself trauma, like being a trauma informed practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, what I've realized too is what you were saying before of like, oh, my work is very important. Yes, that's always important and ongoing, but also to be a doula is to open a space of co-regulation, is to open a space of, oh, this person is going through whatever they're going through, right? Pain, labor, or maybe fears or grief is arriving in this moment, and I can be a vessel for their regulation as well. And co-regulation isn't codependency, it's connection,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so me being a vessel in that moment, ready for them and being like, hey, I trust this, you can trust this, you know, is also so important.
Mm-hmm.
Part of being a doula.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many different things that are required
Mm-hmm.
depending on what type of doula you want to be. Because what, you know, when I first, not even when I first started, because it's been like 20 years, but there was a time in that space that I decided to do this random go to Pasadena and ask people if they knew what a doula was. And this is
Wow.
Pasadena. I
You did
know.
this? You drove around?
I drove around with a friend of mine who was a part of the mother support group that I've been with for 20 years at least.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe 19. And he's a director and a producer and all that. And so he said, I'll film you. Let's do it. So he followed, and we would pick places and just
I love
ask
this
these
so much.
questions. And the thing is, even in Pasadena in the 90s, nobody knew what a doula was. I think I had one person knew, but it was like after like, I don't know how many people. And then most of the time they got it confused with the midwife. And so I would have to break down the
Yeah.
difference between a
Which
midwife
people
and
still do.
which they still do.
Yeah.
They still do. Um, oh my gosh. I love your lipstick. Reminds me of Wet n Wild back in the day. Love it. Okay. Let me tell you, this I got because it resembled 521 Wet n Wild. This is Black Cherry. And that's something you're good. Um, there's so many different types of doulas and nobody knew what was what. And I couldn't believe it because California, you would think people would know. I would expect the mid, states of the country not to know.
Yeah.
But you expect the parameter to know.
Yeah.
And only one person got it right. But they were all very curious about it. And when I told them what it was, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. I was like, it's not new. The term is new, but there's always been a sister, a aunt, a mother, a grandmother, the village healer, whatever, at a birth,
Yeah.
supporting women. But yeah, it's very interesting because we have grief doulas, we have transition doulas for people who are shifting from one gender to another. We have death doulas, we have conception doulas, we have, there's
abortion doulas.
Abortion doulas, right. And I think the only thing I have not done is the transition doula. I've done the work afterwards to support them. But it's some powerful work, but it requires a lot of different tools. And it's about knowing what's important to you and what your purpose is and how effective you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Within that. And I think that you've done a great job because I got to do a birth with you.
Haize, I would shadow you at any birth, any day.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, oh, absolutely. That was
a great, that birth was like, I can't believe it. That birth. Yeah.
Yeah, she was powerful. And you showed up really beautifully and very present. And I'm so grateful for that. And I can see how what you're up to is actually going to have an impact on how women birth, because I can also see you, and you haven't said this, but I can also see you leading workshops and doing writings and setting yourself up with Zoom seminars about trauma and trauma release and emotional work and breakthrough, and being a birth coach, prenatally for
Yeah.
all the people who want to release some of that and want
And
to.
I do see that for myself too. For me, I'm like one step at a time. Let's get more clients. Let's get into more births. But yeah, because that has been such a prominent part of my journey, and even what has guided me into birth work, being trauma work and womb
Mm-hmm.
work and all these things, that is important for me to, as a purpose of why I'm here, why I'm on this earth. That is very important for me to share the return to the body.
Mm-hmm.
Share the return to trusting ourselves and knowing we are not the things that have happened to us, and knowing we are expansive.
Mm-hmm.
We are expansive, and it takes like a stretching our nervous system capacity, but like that's part of the practice and the process, and I want to help people through that.
Yeah, it's also part of life.
Yeah.
We're never going to grow if we're never squeezed. If we don't step outside our comfort zone, and fall flat on our face or soar, we never continue to evolve, and it's harder to adapt and adjust, right?
Yeah.
When we can go through labor and the process of pregnancy and labor with a family and actually help them hone their coping skills, then they
Mm-hmm.
can actually teach
Yeah.
coping skills. And I
Yeah.
believe firmly that that is one of the issues here in America. Besides, we like to be comfortable,
You're right.
and we also like instant gratification,
Yeah. Instant
so
treatment. Yeah.
yeah, and which is why a lot of people choose to do birth the way they choose to do it. Either they are, they were raised in a culture that believes in the in and out birth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to know anything.
They
I
don't
just
know
want to
they're
do this.
capable. That's at the end of the day. People don't know they are capable. And what
Hmm.
you got in the program, which I loved, is changing your perspective of pain.
Exactly.
Changing what the purpose of pain is, because it's
Hmm.
not negative. We add these connotations to it, but it's not a negative or positive thing, but it's what you make of it. It's and what you see as the purpose behind it.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I love about this work and the way that I teach my childbirth education classes and how I'm training doulas is with the idea and understanding that when we can get some more information about ourselves, then we have the opportunity to shift it, mold it, let it go, continue walking with it, or, like I said, ending it. And to have that experience and then integrate it with the family afterwards and reflect on their takeaways. What did they think? What did they feel? And then to see the partners talking about it to their friends and their communities, the mothers sharing it, and also sometimes having extended family there witnessing a way of doing something that is unfamiliar to them,
Yeah.
and just kind of, maybe it's not for them, but they're open to seeing it, and they
Yeah.
get why they chose it.
Yeah.
I think that the more explanation they have, the more information they have around birth, around how to be a powerful force in their own labor,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't
You're
even
the one
realize that.
leading their own labor.
Yeah, right,
Right?
right.
Like,
Yeah, that
why
part.
is that? Like, it blows my mind that that's not even in, like, women and birthers in general are, like, not taught that they're leading their own labor. Like,
Because they're not in a hospital
I
situation. That's
know, that's the issue.
doctor led, right? And
Yeah.
most of us are used to giving our power away to the medical industrial complex. Like, we just are used to that. They have the authority and they know more. But birth is not a pathology, which is, I keep bringing that back in each
Yeah.
interview. It's all that you're feeling means everything's going the way you want it to go.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
about changing the perspective or reframing the idea that this means something's wrong. It actually means everything is right. It
Yeah.
actually means, you know, and every time they show up as a mammal, they're burping, they're passing gas, they're vomiting, they're pooping.
Yeah.
That's a sign that everything's going great, which is why birth workers get so excited. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, yay, you're vomiting, great. Oh, you're
Yeah.
pooping, awesome. You know, we love that because it means that the innate understanding of birth is operating at its full potential because that person feels safe, feels supported,
Yeah.
and it has a understanding of what's happening and it's not
As an
judging it.
understanding of their like intrinsic ability, their animal, as you said, their primal state, that this is what, if you have
It's,
internal sex organs, you're born being able to do this. Like,
right? And I think it's us reminding them that the body, unless something is really presenting differently,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Something that takes it out of the range of normal, um, i.e., anatomy, something very
mhm.
specific, a woman can have a baby in a coma. So that means that,
I did not even know that.
yes, a woman can have a baby even in a coma, which means that the baby's initiating, that the body knows what to do, and that the mind is not necessary to
Mm,
actually do the labor in the form of control. The mind's
yeah.
necessary in the form of let go, let go, let go, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
making friends with all that is and being really present. And if
Yeah.
they can do that, then, oh, okay, so I just need to, you know, be mindful
Yeah.
of the labor.
Yeah. You saying that coma, it brought me back to like, oh, that reminds me of like the history of the medical or the hospital system with like women giving birth in like the 20s and 30s when they were actually put under, right? Or they were actually like put in like a sleep state and like left to like give birth.
Yeah,
What?
you're thinking about twilight sleep, and I don't think it was as early as then. I think if I remember from like the 30s, I mean, yeah, 40s to the 60s, somewhere in there. It could have even been later because, you know, they learn about things and it trickles down and it takes a while to get to the smallest town.
Right.
Um, but there was a while they would put them under general anesthesia, then they put them under twilight sleep, which is this weird.
I'm like very against it. Like, but it did remind me of like, oh, that's how they were even able to do this in that state is maybe because like just the body did it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's interesting. And when you look at, yeah, twilight sleep, I
I know
know. Uh,
it's awful. It's
Wild
awful.
spiritual alchemy. I love your name. Yeah, twilight sleep has got to be. I know I've spoken to women who had that, which is the generation where my mom was born. Yes, and they came out blue. Oh,
Is that from like the lack of like
girl, don't
oxygen?
get me to lying because that's outside my scope. I have no idea. We're gonna have to do some investigating. We'll
Yeah.
have to do some research as to why. But I do know that a lot of the babies were bluer, and not that we're not worried about a blue, you know, a baby has blue extremities. We just don't want the trunk of the body to be blue, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, kind of intense, kind of crazy. Um, do
Oh.
you have any idea of teaching or leading anything in the future to come, like this year? Like,
Like this year?
uh-huh.
Oh,
Because
well.
people, the reason why I'm saying this and I'm asking, I'm not trying to pressure you
Mhm.
as your mentor, I
Yeah.
promise. Um,
Not trying to
it's
pressure you, but go do it.
well, it's just that going through this pandemic with birthing families and the isolation and the stress, especially early on when nobody knew what anything was, the need for therapy, the need for somatic healing, the need for all this work is so prevalent. Um, and even now, you know, we now have more women and families doing that, you know, taking care of their mental health. It's been a lot. And it always has been here because unfortunately we are so pathetic in regards to our birth numbers for a country that's got so much
You would
as
think the system would want to change if there's continually a problem,
oh, but it's
right?
working for them, you know.
For making money is what it's working for.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that, you know, we're running out of resources. We're running out of people who do have prenatal psychology backgrounds or therapy or psychology backgrounds or emotional release, but we just need some more. I'd be
Yeah.
down. I'd love to learn how to integrate healing work and doula work. Yes,
Doula
yes,
work is
exactly.
healing work. I just think it is.
It all comes together,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But what would you suggest if you're not teaching anything? What would you suggest for people to do if they wanted to do some work around this, or like our Wild Spiritual Alchemy wants to learn how to integrate?
Well, I would be down to create a workshop for that. That's something that I've planned on integrating with birthers I support, is embodiment and more somatic practices to help whatever arises
Mm-hmm.
for them. Because as you said, any like trauma, shame, grief that you're experiencing or hasn't been dealt with will arise in the labor process. So that is an important part of me working with a birther and a client. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to expand that to people, to like anyone who wants to involve that, even like fellow doulas.
Exactly. Open it
Yeah.
up to everybody. Healing
Yeah.
is healing.
What was that?
Healing is healing.
Yeah.
And everybody needs it. We all need it at some
Yeah.
point. And yes, I love her name, Milagros. It is a shame that it's mostly about money, and it is a shame that insurance doesn't cover it all, you know, for everybody. And it's a shame that Medi-Cal can't be more efficient. All of it is
A
a
shame.
shame. All of it, all of it is pathetic. And, you know, I think I was speaking yesterday with Birthing the Block, my go-to for all things, you know, policy and Medi-Cal. She's just really
Was she
astute,
also
and
teaching a placenta encapsulation?
she does teach placenta
Okay.
uncut. You gonna take it? You gonna take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, 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 good.
And anyone else birthing the block teaches
Birthing the
placenta?
Block teaches placenta encapsulation.
Mhm.
So yeah, like we really want to bring our awareness around all these issues and things that are keeping us from being powerful in the birth space,
Yeah.
families and workers, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
What are you finding are some of the biggest challenges as a birth worker, as a doula?
Well, right now, I would say just in the general like scope, challenging being how necessary the stigma behind what is necessary and what isn't necessary in birth in regards to how the hospital system views it, right? Like I know during the pandemic, like partners, but like no doulas were allowed in like hospital rooms. Where I
Mm-hmm.
think having support is crucial for unless the mother or the birther doesn't want it, you know.
Right.
But like knowing you are supported is crucial, and I think doula work is needs to be covered, is necessary,
It's essential. I
is
agree.
essential part of labor. And so I would say that's like social stigma of like this is just like if you want it, where I'm like no, this can change your birth.
Yeah, it's not a luxury, and
Yeah.
people perceive it as luxury,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's not. And I know that in this pandemic, at some point, they weren't even allowing husbands, partners,
Mm-hmm.
you know, wives, nobody in with that birthing person, and it was just heartbreaking to do them virtually. I was grateful
Got a
for
lot of
the
birth.
technology, you
Yeah.
know, because I was effective. Would I rather be there to support?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but that was the next best thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, I just, I don't know. I know that during this whole thing, to just kind of dismiss birth workers as hippy dippy, woo woo, fairy, crunchy.
Yeah.
There's scientific studies behind what we do.
I know there's evidence behind
There's
it. And also,
evidence-based
not every
information.
birth worker would say that they are a hippy dippy, you know, like you're
Right.
categorizing in like an expanse of people under this work into like one category, perhaps, you know, when
Yeah.
there's so many even different types of birth doulas and so many.
Exactly. There
So
are.
yeah, and it is about like there. It's not to say that like my work doesn't also. Crunchy Fairy. My doula practice will be called Crunchy Fairy. I would hire.
I will so promote you. Crunchy Fairy. Absolutely. That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, Dani. That was just really
No.
fun.
Crunchy Fairy was important.
It's genius what it is. It's brilliant. Almost as brilliant as do a little this, do a little that.
With Cora.
With Cora came up with her company name, I was like, I cannot believe no one thought of that name.
I had not, yeah.
Do a little this, do a little that. And she was like, yeah, I got all the domains, all the things. I've got the trademark. She's like, oh. But yeah, and I really feel for me, one of the biggest challenges is having a good relationship with the OBs. Some of these OBs want nothing to do with us. They don't want their authority questioned. They just want obedience in the space. And it's always so amazing when I get to work with an OB who realizes that everybody in the room is bringing some information, including the birthing family, you know? And if you collab like they do in Europe, in England, in Amsterdam, and all those places with these better numbers and outcomes, that it's more beneficial in the room. And there's certain OBs that I work with who are very much like that.
Yeah.
They are just.
Do you think you've helped them build that awareness? Like, do you think, like, were they like that? Or have you, like, are there certain OBs that you've seen over and over again that have expanded that awareness in witnessing what you do for birth?
Ventura Midwife, hi. I would say that I've had a part in it. I don't come into the space and, like, disrespect the space. I don't disrespect their going to school or anything like that. But what I do bring is a conversation that there is information and knowledge and experience back here. So I'm just creating a space where everybody's meeting equally in the room. That takes a little bit of work, but it can be done. I've also actually have had OBs ask for my card who told my clients in prenatals that they don't like OBs. I mean, they don't like doulas and they don't like working with them. And it's just because first of all, my people, I educate the heck out of them. So they come in already with some stuff and they bring it into their appointments with their OBs and they come back and we get it flat and they go back in. Like we're constantly
they know what questions to ask.
Exactly.
And that like disrupts the procedure.
They can't do business as usual.
Yeah.
And and I'm always looking for how to humanize my clients in their eyes because they're at work and my clients are not.
Yeah. This is a big experience for your client, a life-changing experience. Yeah.
Huge. So, slow it down.
Right.
Don't rattle anything off to them. I need you to stop. I need you to take a breath. They're in an altered state. Repeat, please.
Yeah.
Just
that is
slow it down.
And that's so important to realize, I think, if you're going to no matter what part of a birth you are, like if you're an obstetrician, midwife, doula, like having that clarity of being like, this is their experience that we are, how can I come in and support their experience, right?
Exactly.
Through their lens.
Hey, Jen. Okay, if you don't follow VBAC Facts, follow it. The most accurate page on vaginal birth after cesarean. Love her. She's knowledgeable. She's integrity filled. And yeah. follow her for some help and some guidance. All these people, we got like some good people in there, Ventura midwives in there. It's really cool.
Oh, Vanessa.
Hey, Vanessa. So let me ask you, how can people find you
Okay.
if they would love to do some of this work? Because now you're going to be, doing workshops and seminars and
Doing all the
training
things.
work.
So I would say right now I have a website, DaniDiPillo.com. And on my website, you can find my doula page. And I talk about getting into my journey, getting into birth work, as well as what I offer as a doula. And there's a contact form on my website that you can reach out to me and we can schedule a consultation and talk. And so I think that right now is the most upfront way to like get in contact with me. You can also follow my Instagram, DM me on my Instagram. If I do a workshop in the future, I would definitely be promoting it on that page.
I will share it.
Yeah.
I share every birth worker stuff I share. Only time I'm not sharing it is if I haven't seen it. But otherwise, it's because I'm about everybody getting it.
And that is what's so profound and beautiful about you, is you wanting to expand this space and you really wanting to bring up a collective movement for birth work and doulas, because you see how important it is, and you inviting people to rise up and wanting to share others' gifts. And I think that's just so telling of who you are and the love that you have.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's really important to me that we do that we just keep, honing our craft and making it more of a normal conversation in the world, and educating. There's a lot of people who don't understand any of this, who don't even have an understanding of the mammalian mother-led path versus the doctor-led path. And I really feel that
Don't even know it's an option.
we just got to educate the families. We got to educate the birth workers and any practitioner in any way, shape, or form that supports a birthing family during this big, shift in their bodies. I just think that we can start sharing that information and then possibly bridging the gap between us and doctors, us and pediatricians. Right now, I'm really trying to have conversations with pediatricians so that they understand that midwives are licensed to care for a newborn for 2 weeks when that newborn. So to be hostile from a home birth or birthing center birth, just know that it's a thorough checking in. It's they got them, and it will.
And have because Western birth is still recent.
Yeah.
Right. It was always like a midwife or someone with a family member who had like a midwife role before. Like, how do people think we've been giving birth for all humanity, right?
Yeah.
To think that these sources can't be trusted.
And don't get me wrong, I'm always so grateful for those sources, for that Western medicine, because when used strategically, it is a game changer. And I have used it, if I need it, I'm the first one to do it, because I want to save lives. That's the most important thing. But it's just it would be beautiful if there was a bridging of the gap and a meeting of the minds. And then, like in England, as an emergency, in an emergency situation, then the OB comes in.
Right. And that is necessary to have that source in that situation, for sure.
Yeah, it is. Do you have any openings for doula work? What months are you available? Share.
I'm available now.
Oh, you are? You have openings now?
I do have openings now. Yeah.
Okay,
so
good to know.
I do have openings. Anyone looking for, a birth worker who's really like I will really love you in this process. That is what I can truly say about myself. I will really rise to the occasion of your birth, and I promise that. I can get emotional about that. And so anyone wanting that kind of support, let me know. Here.
She's here. Well, thank you, my love, for taking the time out to speak with us and to share your gifts with everybody. And yeah, I'm wishing you all the best. I know you're going to, I've worked with you. I know you're brilliant. And I just can't wait for everybody else to see how well you hold space. It's going to be really good. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. This has been lovely.
You're welcome, darling.
And good luck with your birth today.
Yes, it's going to be so, I love this family. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be great. Okay, you take care. Have a beautiful day. And everybody be blessed this week. All right. Much love.
Love you.
Love you. Okay, I'm going to try and save this, honey, for you.
Okay. I don't know how to get off of the line.
Listen, I think I'm getting good. This whole week of throwing myself in here, not knowing what I'm doing. You know, I mean,
press exit. Is that how I get out?
Girl, I think so.
Okay. Well, goodbye.
Bye, mother.